13, we are asked to look at this diagram and write a congruent statement if those two triangles that are overlapping are indeed congruent. And they've got a lot of different tick marks showing which sides from one triangle and which angles from one triangle correspond and are congruent with the sides and angles from the other triangle. When I do this and I'm looking to set up a congruent statement, I write myself a blank congruent statement. I'm showing that one triangle is congruent to another triangle, and I've left a spot for each of the three vertices of those triangles because I know I simply just want to match up the different vertices. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is, I think it's more clear than looking at the sides, is finding the angles. And I've got in triangle BAG, I've got angle B with just one arc. I'm going to go ahead and call that my first vertex of that first triangle. That must match up with C in the second triangle, and so I'm going to put that C in the first position as well. Okay, now the rest of this, I could be calling this first triangle angle BAG, or I could call it BGA. It doesn't really matter which order I go as long as this side matches and corresponds with it. So let's go from B to A. Now A in my first triangle is marked with two tick marks. So whatever my next value is here, my next letter in the second triangle, it also has to have two tick marks just like A did because it's going to be in the second position. And it looks like D is the angle that has the two tick marks, so we're going to put that there. Angle CD, or triangle CD, it's going to end up being F, right? So the last two letters have to be F and G in the first triangle, F in the second triangle. But I don't want to just guess, I want to just double check, does G really go with F? G isn't really marked as anything with an angle, neither is F, so that's good. G is coming off the line from the angle marked with just one, so is F. So it looks like this is correct. Now again, I could have had this written differently. I could have called this triangle, let's call it triangle AGB, and I could say that's congruent to a different triangle. Now A goes with D, so if I was going to write this as triangle AGB, A is in the first position, I would have to have D here in the first position. Since G is in my second position here, G goes with F. F would have to be in the second position. And since B is in the last position, it goes with C. I would have to write it like that. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to write these congruent statements as long as you make sure the corresponding parts match up in the same order.